A report card is in for the NYPD, and New Yorkers are doing the grading. New Q poll out this week shows 50% of New Yorkers approve of the job that the NYPD is doing, while 42% say the department could do better. But this is actually the lowest approval rating that the department has had in 14 years. Police Commissioner Bill Bratton says he's gratified that 56% of New Yorkers support the department's broken windows style of policing, while 35% say the tactic only leads to tensions across neighborhoods throughout the city. Now, former NYPD Commissioner Ray Kelly told our Dominic Carter that he backs broken windows. He also spoke with Dominic about a possible future in politics. Dominic?
Well, Andrew, I asked this question. Is it a coincidence that the former New York City top cop is now raising his profile, that is? This, as that new poll that Andrew mentioned this week, showed that Mayor de Blasio has only white support of 36%, an alarming number. In politics, they say never, and according to a source close to Ray Kelly, a book deal announcement is imminent from the former top cop. When Kelly stepped down as New York's longest-serving police commissioner, he announced that he had plans for a book, and now the deal is official, about to be announced, according to a source familiar with Kelly's thinking. The announcement is possibly coming in the next week or so, and according to the source, the book will reflect Kelly's 50 years of public-private life. Just this week, as Andrew mentioned, keep in mind what Kelly told us about running for mayor. He said he seriously considered it. Well, how close did you come to actually running yourself?
We thought about it.
You did think about running for mayor.
Mm-hmm.
You had sky-high poll numbers that you believe you could win?
Well, there are a lot of factors involved. I think overall, I've been in the department a long time. I didn't necessarily want to get my family involved in a campaign. Campaigns have become very, very nasty these days, and will only continue to move in that direction. And I determined that it just simply wasn't the right thing for myself and my family at this stage of my life.
And while we are about to discuss the law enforcement strategy of broken windows, remember in our interview, Kelly strongly defended stop and frisk.
97% of the shooting victims in New York City are black or Latino. 90% of the murder victims are black or Latino. I thought the decision in the case was very bad. If you read it, it calls out for an appeal, and it wasn't appealed, and it should have been.
All right, we'll get to Ray Kelly's political future in just a second. First, I need the panel's help figuring out these numbers, because support for broken windows by people in New York City, but critical of the NYPD, more critical than in 14 years. They want stops for minor crimes, but they don't want Eric Garner type situations. It seems like the public, I almost get the sense it doesn't know what it wants. Help me analyze those numbers, Richard.
I don't think there's a lot of surprise. The poll was done right in the wake of the Garner incident, the homicide. And the notion that police can sometimes react inappropriately and do that, if that happened in the Garner case, added to Ferguson, has led to a reconsideration of what people want from their cops. I also suspect those numbers break pretty hard on racial lines as well. So I think it's a good cautionary note for the leadership of the police department, where the cops have been militarized with equipment, with training, with those kinds of plans. I think the public is saying nationally and in New York, not so fast. And where there are incidents where the wrong things are done, there ought to be a quick response from the leadership.
I just find it fascinating, when you follow the news, right, you can actually see a meme or a narrative grow right before your very eyes. Like add water, watch it pop up. This militarization of the police just sort of popped up before everybody's eyes, and everybody, right on up to the president, right on all the way up past the president to Richard Brodsky. This militarization of the police.
What would you call what happened in Missouri?
This is what popped it up, the pictures we're looking at now.
Effective shutting down. Imagine what Ferguson would look like had they not had that kind of equipment. What kind of insanity would have ensued? Would have looked like London 4 years ago.
It might have been peaceful.
Oh, for the love of God, absolutely not.
There's no basis for that. That's a meme. That's a theory. And in fact, the national revulsion against the militarization of the cops came because people all of a sudden realized how much ex-Iraq war material was being put in the hands of cops. In New York, who has military capacity in the state police, the varying police forces? Do you know? I don't know. Who
But I'm glad somebody does.
Well, are you?
Yeah.
You know, the Republican right, the Tea Party right, Rand Paul, led the initial criticism of the militarization of the police. It's been a Tea Party meme. That is to say, the government cannot be trusted to be a military presence in our communities. This is not a left-wing, right-wing thing. And to predict that the Ferguson, the pointing of guns at peaceful marches was the way we want our cops to act.
Peaceful looters?
Well, but
That's not what I said.
I know. I'm properly putting context to what you
So-
said.
so-
Peaceful
so-
looters. People. Somebody breaking into a store. Is that a peaceful protest?
No, it's not.
Somebody from not even from that town looking for an excuse to scream and throw Molotov cocktails.
That wasn't
It's a
what,
peaceful
that
Molotov.
wasn't what I said.
They were all looters.
That wasn't what
No.
I said. They pointed the guns at peaceful marchers.
To make sure they stayed peaceful.
I see. That's the kind of
Come
policing
on,
we want.
TJ. You
Ask the Reno
really
for governor.
believe that?
What you have in New York City is a very unique situation because you have the mayor, the city's chief elected official, that's been bashing the NYPD since day one of his campaign and has never stopped since becoming mayor. So you have people like Al Sharpton being elevated and this rhetoric against the NYPD. So of course people are confused because the people that have lived here through the 80s and 90s realize the transformation the city has undergone as a result of those policies, and then you have a lot of new people that are living here that don't remember what the old city was like, and so there's a lot of confusion.
How did de
Heard the
Blasio bash
bashing.
the cops? What did he say?
Oh my gosh, he's seriously, Richard. He's
Seriously.
had anti-NYPD rhetoric since day
What
one of
did
his
he
campaign,
say?
supporting the IG, that stop and frisk, that cops are racist. Give me a break.
Bill de Blasio said
yes,
cops are racist.
He's said that the NYPD has racist tactics, and Ray Kelly was the only one out there defending, and Joe Lott at the time. So don't tell me that he
Nonsense.
didn't have rhetoric
You're ma-
against the NYPD
you-
because that's wrong.
you're
You
making
were
it
not
up.
paying attention. That's
You're
wrong.
making it up
I'm
as
not
he
making
made up
it
the
up.
stuff about
I'm not
Ferguson.
making it up. I would be happy to dig out every single clip of something negative he said about the NYPD because they were plentiful.
Is questioning the tactics that the NYPD uses
saying that they're
or
racist.
that the result
No,
of,
he's
let's say,
not.
stop
Yes,
and
he
frisk
did.
has a racial
Yes, he
imbalance?
did.
Is that racist?
He is inciting racial tensions by using that kind of rhetoric. Now he is the mayor of the entire city, and it's creating problems.
The chickens that come home to roost, I mean.
Exactly, and you're
Can I
seeing the
just ask
result
one
of
question?
it with crime
So-
going up.
so
Shootings
because-
are up.
so the
Violent
shootings are
crime
up.
is up.
So because the mayor is not totally siding with the NYPD,
I'm not saying he's
1,000%, that
side
means
with
he's
them,
anti-cop?
Dominic. No, I'm not saying he has to totally side with them. He's a leader. He should come out and say, let's not rush to judgment. Let's get the facts out there. Everyone should stay
That's what he
calm.
said.
And
It took,
Well,
it took Barack Obama a few years to learn that kind of lesson.
Well,
He finally, this
but,
time
but
around.
the last time I checked, there was no violence in New York this
Right,
time,
which
while
is-
there was a lot of
I
violence in
agree,
Missouri.
and that is a credit that doesn't belong just to the mayor, but also belongs to the NYPD.
Oh, it doesn't belong to Sharpton? I mean, who was out there front and center, the man that you guys always talk negatively
Despite his
about?
best efforts,
Great.
nothing blew up.
There's no point in responding to that.
Yeah, I mean,
No, just let it sit, let it marinate,
Let it
go.
sit.
The way
Let
he's
it sit.
handled it, he never should have had Sharpton at the table criticizing the mayor of the city of New York. He's shown poor judgment and poor leadership, and the majority of New Yorkers
The
know
fact that de Blasio gives that man such credit and such
okay,
credibility and such
so
legitimacy,
the mayor of
it's
New
fine.
York shouldn't have any black leader at the table
Oh,
discussing
Dominic,
it.
that might,
Dominic,
you know
no,
what?
don't-
I'm asking.
Don't
I mean,
qualify that.
I mean,
Don't do that
but
ever again, this side.
because you don't want
That's
you don't want Sharpton at the table.
Dominic,
you call the
Carter,
people.
He
Don't
doesn't
make-
deserve
Okay,
No,
to
no, I
be
don't
at the
wanna joke about
table
Derek
with
Jeter
the
now.
mayor and the police commissioner. He is not an official part of city government.
Who should he have had from the minority community?
I don't think he should have had anyone that's
Not a
not an
blustery
official part of
retread.
city government sitting up there, allowing him to
Really?
talk about his
Who-
son. That's so
who
inappropriate.
should he had help calm the community situation?
He did it a few days later with having if you want to have a faith-based thing where he invited Cardinal
3
Dolan
times.
and others.
Cardinal Dolan.
Even Cardinal
Yes.
Dolan invited Sharpton.
And Sharpton
Okay,
And it had
but
Sharpton.
it was a different event. This was post the debacle that everyone
other
agrees
than
was a
Cardinal
debacle,
Dolan,
allowing him to go
other
up
than
there.
Cardinal Dolan,
So-
who should he have had speak
You
to
know,
help
it
calm the
doesn't speak
situation?
volumes that the only African American you think should be at that table is Al Sharpton.
Who other than Cardinal Dolan
But why do
should
you
he
guys,
have
why do you
had at
guys
the
hate
table?
Sharpton so much?
Really?
How many-
Joanna Brawley, Freddie's Fashion Mart. Like, seriously, you want to look at the entire
Is
history?
there not a better? Is there
I
not
mean,
somebody
come
out there,
on,
Dominic? Is there
Dominic?
not somebody out there who
TJ,
didn't
Jessica,
ruin lives through false litigation? I mean, come on. Sharpton is a charlatan.
Regardless of his past, Q poll out this week, Sharpton is the single most influential civil rights leader
And
in New
he
York
owes
City.
the press
Whether
a
you
debt of
like
gratitude.
how he got there or not, he's the seminal civil rights figure in the city. So why not have him there?
Because
by
of
the way,
Joanna Brawley, et cetera, et
and by the
cetera,
way,
et cetera.
the result,
a vile
the
human
result
being.
that we got on Staten Island after Garner, completely different from what we saw in Ferguson. Which,
great.
by the way, Sharpton was involved in Garner, not involved in Ferguson, at least at first. And you also had a different police response. You didn't have the same militarized police response in Staten Island that you had in Ferguson. And the result was completely different. The two arguments that you made criticizing de Blasio and the city's handling of Garner led to a different result than what we saw in Ferguson.
Two different towns, two different events. What do you want
it's
from me?
apples
What do you
and
want? You want me to create something for you?
If we followed the strategy that the two of you have advised and suggested, it seems like a recipe for Ferguson.
talking
It's
about?
completely different scenarios. The people that look, everyone's allowed to protest peacefully and to express their First Amendment right, and I think that they did that successfully, and they all deserve credit for it. But I don't think it's fair to just isolate the credit to Mayor De Blasio. I think the NYPD
that?
paid. No,
Who
I'm
isolated it
just
just to
saying
Mayor
it,
de
Richard. I'm
Blasio?
just saying it.
It's not
that the
that he's
credit
the
goes. A lot of people are saying that. So
Well,
the credit
a
goes
lot of
to
people aren't
everybody.
at this table,
Okay,
so I can't
feel
be
free
responsible.
To say it. I'm not saying you said that.
What we
but
said
I'm
was
saying,
the mayor did a reasonably sound job of keeping things under control in New York City. Is that so hard to grant him?
She actually already
I
did- you already
actually
gave him credit
did
for
say that he deserves credit for keeping the protest peaceful. But I do not think that this entire situation has been handled the way it should have, and I laid out all the reasons why.
Okay, we're going to switch gears at this point and take a break. Up next, they say the Great Recession is over, but for many Americans, sure doesn't feel like it. Is the U.S. stuck in a rut? And if so, is there an end in sight? We got some surprising numbers from a new survey. We'll get into those next.